Hi, this is Sarita Laroche, and you're at Laroche Art. Today I'm with my assistant, Solange. And she's going to help me do a pearl pour for her bedroom. This is the first fluid art we've done in months because we've been out of the country. Where did we go? France. We have been in France for 3 months, and even though we had a small art studio, I really wasn't confident in bringing out all the super wet, messy, sticky paints. So we waited till we got home, and we are going to do a pearl pour with a pastel rainbow. Now, if you aren't familiar with my particular pearl pour recipe, I'll go ahead and put that in the comments or a little info card for those of you on your computers. But the basic recipe is we have acrylic tube paint mixed with Floetrol and a dash of Artist's Loft pouring medium. If you are not in the US, there are other gloss pouring mediums that you could use, but I've just found that this one makes the most aggressive pearl cells. So let's get to it. Whoops. In about 5 seconds, I'm going to realize I made a mistake. I grabbed the wrong white paint. I had mixed up several different consistencies of white for different projects I wanted to do now that I'm back in the US, and this was not the right dump paint. This should have been significantly more liquid. It needed to have a good portion of water in there so that that white would just slip and slide over those rainbow colors. And as I was stretching the paint, I was realizing that wasn't happening with the same ease I would have expected it to. But by this point, I was already in deep, and I had a 4-year-old who was very invested in her rainbow painting, so I needed to make it work. So I really hoped that maybe some pearls would still pop through even though the paint was thick, and that did not happen. So off camera, I went and I took a little pin and I did all of these little dots with silicone treadmill oil. You can see I just went doot down the line and let all of those rainbow colors pop through. I got these gorgeous multicolored cells. It's really pretty. My 4-year-old loves it, but I had to change tactics and decide, okay, so what am I going to do next? So I went ahead and I let it dry. This is the dried product. And if this was going to be for a client, I would definitely clean all of that silicone residue off. There are many ways to do that. I'm not going to go into it for this particular video, but usually I would clean off the silicone before doing an additional step. Since this was for my daughter and she didn't really want to wait, she really wanted us to jump into the next step. I said, okay, well, I got this stencil. She wanted me to put a gold heart in the middle of her painting. And so I had this spray paint. It was a nice, real shiny metallic gold. And I used spray paint because I wanted it to dry very flat. I didn't want there to be any brush strokes. So I sprayed it on, and very, very quickly, I could see that, and you will see here in a moment, that silicone oil was resisting. And I had expected a certain amount of reaction, but I've never done this particular project. We were just winging it. So I wasn't really sure how that was going to look. So as I'm spraying it on here, you're going to see like the ghost of the shape of all those little silicone dots. And honestly, as I was spraying it, and my son, who was helping me, was saying, "Oh, Mom, you can see the silicone bubbling through." I wasn't sure if I was going to need to let this cure and then try to clean the silicone after the fact, and then go back with another round of spray paint to see if I could really get a, flat gold heart. This particular spray paint, if it's done correctly, it has almost a gold mirror type effect. It's like a gold chrome. So it's very vibrant, it's very shiny, but with all of the silicone, that was resisting. And so I wasn't getting quite the same finish. It was dulling it significantly. You can see in the light, like where the light is hitting it, it looks very gold, and where the light is not hitting it, it's looking very bronze. So for me, I probably would have taken the time, especially if this was for a client, or if I had any ideas that I was going to put a top coat of any sort or a resin on top of this to finish it off, I would definitely have gotten rid of the silicone. And you can Google different ways to get rid of the silicone. I personally like to use cornstarch. And this is really something that you only want to do after your pour painting has completely cured. Pour painting will be dry to the touch in about 3 days, but to really, really be cured, you should wait between 2 and 4 weeks. And so actually, right now when we're working on this painting, my daughter had already waited 2 weeks for us to get to this point. And so I wasn't sure if I wanted to wait more time for this gold paint to cure before I started to get in there with some cornstarch and scrubbing all of that silicone out of there. So she was really, really anxious because, like I said, this is our first pour painting since we returned from France, and she wanted this to be her special thing for her special room. So I thought, well, I'm going to make my client happy, and she'll be happier if it's done sooner than later. So this stencil, I just bought it off of Amazon. It was a custom cut stencil. I told them what size heart I wanted, and they cut it for me, and it is reusable. And I actually hope to do 2 more canvases that are going to be part of a little series here for her in her room, each one with a heart and featuring different kinds of rainbow colors in different patterns. So you can really see here all of that silicone that is bubbling up. And sometimes I look at it and I think it actually looks intentional. So we're going to pretend it's intentional. We're going to pretend it's a happy accident and that it should look like this. But as I was looking at it, if it was just a shiny, flat heart, I think I would have left it as is. With the additional little silicone polka dots, I felt like I needed to add something. So I just took out one of my Posca pens. I didn't even lay out a pattern. I just really quickly practiced here in the air, and I just wrote the word love. And I saw, as I was using the Posca pens, that the silicone was also fighting the paint from the pen. And normally I would go over, if I really wanted a nice, dark, thick line, I would go over it a couple of times. And I started to do a second run on the love. And I could see that the more I was going over it, the more I was kind of messing with that underlying silicone. And I was worried it was just going to look messy if I continued. So I just left it like this. And I mean, my 4-year-old, she's enchanted. She thinks this is lovely. And so I'm going to say that this project had its bumps and bruises. It was supposed to be a pearl pour. I was supposed to be showing you all how I use Artist Loft's pouring medium and my particular recipe. Instead, it was a lesson for me on dealing with silicone and all kind of the bumps and bruises that come with that. So here's the finished product. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope maybe you get some ideas from my little experiment. See you next time.